welcome back to Cocktails and Classics. This is the end. My only friend. The end. Sorry, one second. Let me boost my levels a little bit here. People got to hear me sing that Doors over here, but this is it. This is the finale. The end of Band of Brothers, episode 10, Points. We've been through the whole series. This is our first watch. If you're just tuning in, and you're gonna get a final rating. Finally, we decided on episode 1. We were like, we're not gonna rate episode by episode. We'll go through and we'll maybe talk about like which episodes are our favorite, but we're gonna save the rating for the end. So that'll be at the end of the episode. And yeah, episode 10, Points, is the end of the war. We get, like we kind of discussed last episode, we get a brief talk about how we took the Eagles Nest. And then the main focus of the episode is kind of post-war, war is ending, about what happened. And guys kind of dealing with the war ending, going home. Guys dealing with what are we going to do after, all the stuff that's going on. And this episode's dark, dude. I was not expecting some of the stuff that happens. I was like, oh, the war's over. It's nice and shiny and bright, and we love Austria. And then, like, when he talks about, like, Shifty going home, and he gets in that accident, he's like, that's not our only casualty. I was like, oh, God, what does that mean?
Yeah, that took me by surprise. One, poor Shifty. Was just kind of sad. Which I thought that they said that like it was a rigged lottery.
It was. Yeah, it was. It was. I think it was like because when they talk to Shifty and he's like, oh, are you going to get out of here? And he's like, nah, I got like 15 points. Like,
yeah,
I never got injured.
Yeah.
I think the guys came together to be like, let's send Shifty home.
Okay. I kept waiting because they made it seem like something was going to happen, but I thought they would make it a little bit more obvious, like showing Spears like with the paper in his hand or something. Like when he drew the paper. Like,
yeah.
That was I was like, oh, all right. Because I'll be honest, I was expecting it to be the like second in command dude who was standing next to Spears.
Oh, yeah.
I was expecting it to be him because when they said it, the lottery was like rigged, I was like, oh, did this motherfucker set it up for himself? I was expecting it to be like they were going to announce it and he was going to be like, what? It was me? And then when it was Shifty, I was like, oh, all right. Well, this is better. Yeah, I was sad to hear that, like, he wins the lottery and gets to go home, gets in an accident in the Jeep, and then is, like, the last one of the company to actually get home.
Yeah, because he's, like, bounced around hospitals
trying
to fix, like, his... Because what was it, broken pelvis and arm or leg?
I think they said he broke a... I think he broke a couple different things, but I can't remember what exactly it was. I think you're right. I think it was like a pelvis and then his leg. Yeah, he was all over the place.
Yeah, there was that. Then we get Leibgott like hunting down the Nazi officer at his home, like after the Germans have surrendered, which was kind of messed up.
Okay, so I did look and see some research on that. So the show makes it seem like Leibgott just goes and decides he's going to do this thing. In reality, Spears was told by former prisoners that this was their location. I'm guessing like they found out from the people in the camp who the commander was, and then the German prisoners that they had told them like, oh, this is where he is. So Spears sent Leibgott, Sisk was there, and then two other guys, Lynch and Moon. Leibgott interrogated the guy for like a half an hour, and then once they figured out it was the guy they were looking for, they loaded him up and drove him away. And then, alongside a ravine, they ordered the prisoner out of the car. Leibgott shot him, but somehow he was still alive and started, like, that's when he ran up the hill that you see.
Yeah.
They ordered Moon to fire, but he refused. So Sisk fired instead, much like in the show, but Webster wasn't even there.
Interesting. I guess just to include characters we knew.
Definitely, because I read the names of, I mean, even Sisk, like, I sounded familiar, but
super...
I didn't remember him from a lot of it. I don't remember him in a ton of the episodes. And then Moon I'd never heard of, period. So I don't even think he was in the show.
Yeah. And then we get Tom Hardy gets into a car accident as well, leaving his station like just down the road. He literally didn't make it that far and got into a car wreck when a barrel fell off the truck and his the Jeep he was driving in like flipped over. Which, I mean, rest in peace. His like 7 scenes he was in. But and then the real jacked up part is the drunken soldier who is he's on the roadside when Grant and who else was with him at that point?
Hold on. I think no, not Luz. It wasn't Luz. I always mix him up. Grant was there, but who the hell? No, I can't remember who was with him.
Jesus fucking Christ. That's kind of sad. Oh, I can bring that up later if we want, but I'm like scrolling through the trivia and it says that George Luz and Bull Randleman both died rather tragic deaths later in life. Randleman died in 2003 of sepsis from neglect of a preventable MRSA infection that developed in a surgical graft while he was in a nursing home. And then Luz worked as a handyman into old age, was killed in an industrial accident when a commercial dryer he was working on separated from its couplings and fell on him. According to the doctor who performed the autopsy, he was killed instantly. Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Dude,
yeah.
A lot of them, like...
I'm seeing it now.
Was it Webster?
Webster went missing at sea?
Missing on a boat? Yeah.
He's still considered missing. Presumed dead, but still technically just missing.
Like, it's, you know, that's life. Like, accidents happen, things happen all the time, but, like, yeah, these dudes, like, survived the entire, like, World War II, and then it's like, oh, yeah, this guy died on a boat out in the middle of the ocean, and then this guy had a tragic car accident. It's like, Jesus, like, he made it through all of this conflict, all of these, like, battles, and then it's like, you just random time of the day, you got hit by a car, and it's like, shit. Like, I mean, a lot of them lived for a while, but yeah, it does, like, suck. It's like, oh, man. I don't see who was with him anywhere. I'm trying to, like...
Yeah, no, I can't find it either. It irks me because I know it was the, like, it was Spears' second in command, but I can't remember what his name was.
Is that, that's not Martin, is it?
No, it's not Martin. Was it Talbert? It
Oh,
was
Talbot.
Yeah. Yes,
I think I want to say it's him.
it's him. I'm looking at the picture. It's 100% him.
Okay.
I just had to double check the picture. Yeah, it's. I think it's Talbert. There is an R in there, or maybe it's
Okay.
like Sherbet.
Sherbet.
But no, that's no R, and it's pronounced Sherbert. Maybe it's the anti version.
Um. Yeah, that whole scene is like so fucked up. I guess the guy was like high and drunk at the time, and like he kills the Germans because they won't give him gas, and then when a British soldier who he says is a major shows up, he kills him when he starts asking questions, and then he shoots Grant in the head, who somehow survives. I mean, it kind of looks like it just kind of glances his head a little bit. I mean, it looks pretty gross. But yeah, and then they like go on a manhunt to get this guy. Turns out he's like a replacement from I Company, I think they said.
Yeah,
And just like, yeah, I'm like, oh, it's the end of the war. It's okay. And then that happens, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, this is so much darker. I was like ready to go home and see like what happens to everybody. You know, I was waiting for the baseball scene the whole time, and turns out I had to get a little sad like part way through.
but you know what? I will say, also, that ending, like, man, I'm getting soft. Cause even the
Oh,
like
I'm
watching
definitely
them play baseball and like they're all having fun and just like literally like the fact that the horrors of what they went through kind of formed this family amongst them and they're just having fun and watching them just play in the sun and have fun and not have to be worried about where they're going next or when at least knowing if they were going into the Pacific, they would at least have a little bit of a heads up, as opposed to like, hey, heads up, we're leaving now, like right now for this thing. Um, but yeah, to watch
well, and
Winters walk up and like tell them that they're all going home, and seeing just the joy on all their faces as they're just, yeah, that got to me. I was a little teary eyed, and I'm like, damn, this.
well, you forget like some of those guys are just kids still. Like some of them are like 18. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
it's
if any of them joined, if any of them lied to join up, which was a common thing to do.
it's like like and it's kind of a little bit of the theme too is like like everyone kind of lost a little piece of themselves there, even if you didn't get hurt or you didn't get whatever, like mentally and like spiritually, like a piece of you
Yeah.
kind of went with you there.
I will say the only thing that was disappointing was watching through and like I know Malarkey went to like Paris to serve with the airplane tour or whatever that they were doing, but and I thought Lipton was getting transferred to a different unit. But at the end, Lipton's there on the truck and they talk about him. But Malarkey's just like, nah, oh, whatever. So I want to know what happened to him. Why did he get left out?
Yeah, it's weird that he didn't get like a thing, and I'm so glad. Like we talked about this last episode, and I kind of was like, oh, we're gonna get the like something happens, and it's like slow mo, and it's like John Denver went to whatever, and now he's 56 years old, and we got that,
We
but
got
it was
it.
like super quick, honestly.
I was surprised how fast they went through everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they just gave like a quick like this is what they did, and then
Yep, Bull
when
Randleman was
are
the
they
best
alive?
soldier
Where'd
I ever had. He went back home and went into the earth moving business. Now he splits his time between Montana and Arkansas.
Yeah,
Shifty powers.
And then,
It's just like, damn, all right, we're just jumping through.
yeah, which I'm glad they did that, but oh my god, I love it we talked about it. We've been saying it for like 2 or 3 episodes. Give me the interview with the names, and they did it. Oh my god, yes, it felt so good.
I was
I
just
cannot
glad
believe that one was Shifty though.
Oh, I did. I nailed it. I knew it from like
Oh
the
really?
first
I
thing.
was like,
Oh, as soon as anytime I heard him talk, and I'm like, this dude is so southern. This has to be Shifty. Yeah, this has to be the most country bumpkin dude of the company. 100%.
it was great for me. Like, yeah, seeing Shifty and seeing the who they actually were and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, also when they're going through the name or like people and they're like, Perconti went back to Chicago. I was like, oh my god, he is so Chicago. Like, this is what we talked about Garnier, where we're like, he's so Philly. Like, oh my god, Perconti is so Chicago. Um, oh man, Buck came back to show he was alive.
Which, yeah, IRL never really happened, but
Yeah, it was
cool little thing to add. Can we talk about the one person who came back that just got absolutely smacked down? Fuck you, Sobel. Hey. You salute the rank, not the man. Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, he used your old line against you! Suck it,
yeah,
bitch.
that was,
I was expecting it to be like a heartfelt thing where he was going to be like, Sobel, Captain Sobel, when he was finally like stopped him, I thought he was going to be like, be proud of what, what you made these men into. Because, I mean, realistically, yeah, Sobel did kind of formed this family and made the soldiers what they were. That's what I was expecting, like this kind of like heartfelt like nod of like, hey, we know it didn't work out, but like be proud of what you did. And instead he's just like, hey, salute the rank, not the man. And then he like salutes and walks away, and Leibgott and Nixon are just behind him like, oh fuck.
I know.
You told him.
That's the same thing. I was like, oh, is this gonna be like a heartfelt Sobel moment? Like, he's not that big of a dick, and then it's like,
nope.
No, he just kind of ignored him. He tried to get away with not saluting him.
He tried to just pretend he didn't see him, so he walked away.
Yeah.
And once again,
kind of.
Oh, I just want to jump into one thing. So the last episode we talked, I mentioned that after the whole like Nixon based episode, like how much it kind of depreciated his value in terms of like what he provided. And his biggest moment of this episode was getting to loot the liquor cellar. It's like, come on, man. That's the big thing. That's it. And the fact that you mentioned he was divorced 3 times. Like, that's...
If I'm Lewis Nixon, I'm a little pissed at this here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just kind of like, whoa, man, what the fuck? You just made me an alcoholic asshole. You didn't mention any of the cool shit I did.
Well, apparently he never fired his weapon, so,
Which I don't know how that's the case, because he was there when they did all that shit with the guns in the second episode.
Yeah, I just feel like Nixon got, like, dealt a bad hand. He's kind of like just like
I just like how Winters is like Nixon.
Character.
Nixon was my. As for Lou was my best friend. He was divorced. He had a little rough time after the war. He was divorced 3 times. But the third one finally got it right. It was just like, that's it? That's the glowing recommendation you give this man? He's the best friend of the main character, and the best we can do is he finally picked the right woman to marry. Woo!
Like, there was nothing like, it was like, oh, he traveled the world with her, and that's like, alright. Every other dude got like this is where he lives now. This is like, he went on to be a construction worker. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess that he's kind of a vagabond and free spirit, and that kind of speaks to him. I mean, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I just thought that was funny that literally, like, even as we're like, oh, I can't wait for the Nixon episode where it's going to showcase him, like, he's just kind of like this mysterious dude who's not really, like, focused, but he's always there. And then we finally get his focus episode. We're like, oh, this dude just kind of lame. And then in the last episode, it's like, this is really lame. his key accomplishment was finally choosing the right person to marry. Oh, this poor bastard.
Well, it's also funny that he's like, kind of, the whole episode is like just that like pessimistic kind of dude still, and he's like, who was it? Martin was trying to leave, I think. And he's like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna go home to Kitty or whatever her name was, and he's like, she's probably already left you. Like, you think she waited 3 years? What's another year? You know?
Yeah, you're not gonna join back up? What, you think she's still waiting for you? Yeah, that was the same. I can't remember the guy. I can't remember who the heck, which the frick his name is. But that's the same guy who I thought was going to get the rigged. That's like, it's basically like Winner's, like, page, pretty much.
His page.
For lack of a better, it's his personal assistant, for the most part.
It's, oh, fuck, what's his name? It starts with like an L.
Yeah, I can never remember him because he's barely shown. I can tell it to you right now, and you're going to be disappointed.
It's not an L.
It's not at all.
Who is it?
It's Welsh.
Yep.
It starts with
I saw that name on the list, and I was like,
it starts with an L. I'm just looking at people's pictures, and I'm like, this kind of looks like it could be him if he's aged up a bit. Let me click on his photo and see. And sure shit, it pops up, and I'm like, not an L. Not an L at all.
the actor's name starts with,
No,
Rick Warden,
his name is Rick Warden.
Lick Warden.
Larick. He's French. It stands for the.
Yes, Larick. Oh man. I feel like the other big point of this episode is this like points system that they develop, where you have to reach 85 points to be able to go home and not have to go to the Pacific to fight, which in the end doesn't end up mattering at all for Easy Company, at least as far as the episode's concerned. But we see, like, that's Shifty gets to go home. Even though he doesn't have enough points, they like rig the lottery so he can go home. What's his name? Tom Hardy's character.
Janovich?
Janovic. Yeah, or Janovich, I guess. Yeah, he doesn't get to go home because he's at 75 points. And
which is weird because like he was a replacement, wasn't he?
I mean, he might have been there the whole time, and we just never saw him, I guess.
Ah, okay.
I don't know.
Because
it's weird to me sometimes.
Like, I get Fassbender's character. We saw him in episode 1. He might not have been in every episode, but like we saw him at the very beginning. We did not see Tom Hardy until like episode 7 or 8.
9. I thought he was just in the last one.
Was he just in the last one? I thought he was in one before that. But is it just?
I feel like his introduction was just banging that lady in the.
Oh, I guess so.
At the very beginning.
So
but
yeah,
then, like Webster has 81 points.
Which again, we know Webster was there from the beginning.
Yeah.
And also had was wounded during one of the, I can't remember which.
I thought we said Crossroads. I think.
That's what I was gonna say. I thought it was Crossroads.
But I think he was just wounded the one time. Well, he probably also got. I think they get medals from the very first episode.
Yeah,
like on D-Day when they.
Well, yeah, they all got the unit commendation or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that was like malarkey. I'm like, fuck. How are you gonna tell me just because he's not injured? He's been there since day 1.
I mean,
it was like, to honor those who served and jumped on D-Day, we're going to do this lottery. And I'm like, wait, is everyone involved? Because only the guys who went actually and have been there the whole D-Day plus 440 something days. How are those guys not eligible?
Yeah.
My God, what do you have to do to earn a point? You have to be there like a week, like 3 weeks is a fucking point? How do you not have enough?
I mean, it is just crazy that like, you know, to earn these points, like you have to be injured, you have to have like served in these battles to get to like 85 points, which is like such an arbitrary number.
Well, even the
And
guys who
you've
said
seen
like,
what these guys have gone through.
well, I think was who was it that's I can't remember who said it during the episode, but one of them even said they were like, "Oh, um, maybe it was Nixon who was like the only way these guys got medals was Purple Hearts from injury.
Yeah, that
So
is Nixon.
if they weren't shot and injured, they don't have the medal count. Like so basically you would have had to have been injured multiple times and gotten like multiple hearts just to be able to get out, which one person did. I can't remember who it was, but in the episode where Blythe goes to the hospital, someone is getting their second.
I thought it was third.
Was it their third?
I thought it was.
Could be. I might be misremembering. But
I thought it was like a ridiculous number.
yeah,
for like the
maybe they
for
got
like
two
a month
in the
being
same
that.
thing. Maybe they got two at like the same time or something. One for each wound.
Um, yeah, it's just such like an arbitrary like number when it's like, oh, we've seen what these guys have gone through and like the psychological, mental, physical shit they've gone through, and it's like, sorry, you can't go home. You're 81 points and you need 85.
Yeah. So we're gonna send you into the Pacific where it's super dangerous right now. But hey, you only have to be there to earn 4 more points. So like
maybe just get shot once and you'd go home.
yeah. I guess I don't know. Such a weird thing, but what did you think of the fact that Winters was ready to just leave the unit and join a new? As much as he says he just wanted to get it over with and get over there, I think he was worried that he'd grown attached, and if he went over there where after they saw like the video of like the fact that basically the US was just like sending kamikazes in, like they know the only way to take these hills is through brute force. They're like, so basically they're just throwing men at gunfire repeatedly. I wonder if he was just like, I'm too attached. I can't do that with these guys and watch these guys die now. Like, not after everything I've gone through.
I really didn't think about that, but that I feel like that is I don't, part of me is like I feel like that is Winters as a character. Like he is like gung ho. He's like, I'm gonna go and get it over with. I'm gonna be there
Oh, yeah.
like any way I can help.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't personally know whether or not he actually stayed in the army or not. Um, so like when he is like, oh yeah, Colonel Singh talked to me and was like, do you like you want to keep this as a career? And then the next guy, the other colonel or major or whatever, he had a couple stars, so I'm not
Yeah, he might have been a
not up front.
general.
But he's he's talking to Winters and he's like, oh, are you gonna make a career out of this? Like, are you just trying to get some stars?
Yeah, you don't.
Like,
You've got enough. You've got enough to earn some stars without needing to see more of the battlefield.
That's why I was like, that feels like Winters as a character, like as a human. Like I feel like he's gonna go and like he's doing this just for not the love of it, I guess, but like because he is an excellent leader and he is this. But what you're making is an excellent point of like he doesn't want to go through all this again, and he says that at the end. He's kind of like I like re-enlisted for Korea, but I did not go into battle. Like I had seen enough of war. I was purely there to train
Yeah.
soldiers and basically became like SOBEL-esque. Um, but yeah, I mean that is interesting. I mean, I loved like he's still that guy.
Oh yeah.
That's what I wrote down. Like he's helping Malarkey get out early. He's helping Lipton. Like, oh, you're supposed to be reassigned to another company, but what about Battalion HQ?
Yeah, we have to reassign
Like-
you. You can't stay with the unit. I understand that. How do you?
I'm
Let's just
I'm gonna
say.
put the AI voice.
Yeah. All right. All right.
Um,
Let's just say that Powers isn't the only shifty one, Dylan. Yeah. I'm on to you.
the other,
I saw that.
I mean, I know you were talking about being a softy, um, but man, the end of the episode got me when they show everyone, and it's just kind of like going through, and then like Lipton gives the like Henry V quote, and
Yeah.
then Winters gives the quote from Mike Rainey in the letter. I was just like, got a little tears in my eyes, man. That
Yeah.
was sad, and it's just, I mean, it's kind of sad just to like see those guys because I. Pretty sure the last dude from Easy Company, or at least Band of Brothers, the last like real life guy, passed away not too long
I was
ago.
gonna say,
So
I think one of them just passed not long ago. I'll be
yeah,
honest.
like
I
2
was
or 3 years ago.
a little frustrated. We were in DC this past weekend, and we went to a couple of the Smithsonian Museums, and we went to the like American History Museum, and we of course had to go see the pop culture like exhibit, and we didn't walk through the American like war history one, and I was really disappointed because I wanted to go through and see that. It's like, oh, I bet you there's probably something here about like I would almost guarantee there's got to be something probably about the 101st.
Yeah, the last remaining member from like Easy Company, like the Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
Bradford Freeman passed away in 2022.
Yeah, that was when some of these guys were talking about like their recent passings and that, and I was like, oh yeah, and then I'm like, wait a minute, they're for them recent was 2000. I'm like, oh my god, it's already been 20 something years. But yeah,
Man,
I
I
was
love.
fairly impressed when we finally got the names of the interviewers or the interviewees. How many I had gotten right. Shifty I'd gotten, Bill Garnier I'd gotten, uh, Winners I'd gotten, and Malarkey. I did not get Lipton, I did not get Babe, and I did not get John Martin. But for the most part, most of them I was like, okay, pretty good.
It's crazy to me. So I was just looking at this like article about like the passing of Bradford Freeman from like the Smithsonian Magazine, but that like we have these, and I'm gonna share it with you in the chat, but like that we have these photos. Like I don't know, when you think of World War II, you think it's like so long ago. Like it's like, I mean, it was 80 years ago now, almost. What, 60 years?
Wow.
Quick maths, 80 years. But like that we have these like photos of like that's like members of Easy Company, and like Dick Winters is in there, and like, you know, like this stuff has been archived and kept. Like, you know, Winters gets that portfolio of photos of like the whole company and him and Nixon and stuff, and it's like just crazy to me to think about that. Like we have this stuff in an archive somewhere in the Smithsonian, and
That's why
yeah.
was mad that I didn't get to go see it. I have to go back. Damn it.
I will say, if anyone listening has time to go to Smithsonian Museums, like it is well worth any of the money. Did you go to the flight one?
No, we were going to, but we didn't realize. Also note, if any listeners are going to DC and planning on doing them, double check the Air and Space Museum. You have to reserve your tickets in advance. All the museums are free, but the Air and Space and the African American history typically you have to reserve. We found that out. So we went Friday. We did the natural history. Then we did the National Archive, so where like the Declaration is, the Constitution and everything. And then we did American history, but American history for the most part we went and saw like like I said, all the TV stuff. So like Archie Bunker's chair, the post sign from MASH, that was pretty cool. a pair of like Julie Newmar's like Catwoman gloves. Like they had just like a bunch of like random like Americana stuff. Actually, I took some pictures. Uh, I'll send them over to you of some of the stuff from some of the movies that we've done that was kind of cool. That like, oh yeah, we did this movie on the podcast, and now here's this famous costume or something from it. Um, so that was interesting. But yeah, I wanted to go do the walkthrough on like the like the war history stuff, and I assumed my dad would have pushed for that too, being that he's also into that. But it was just a lot. It was a lot for my mom and a lot for my wife. So by the time we were at that point, we're like, let's just eat, and then because at that point we then walked to the Washington Monument and then down to Lincoln. So like,
Oh, that's
it was
far.
it was a full day. So I get
Yeah.
not wanting to do anything additional. So then the next morning was Saturday. The wedding we went to didn't start till 5. So at like 10 o'clock, we're like, oh, we could go back and do the air and space today. Like, that would be fun. We took the train, rode over there, went to walk in, and it's like, oh, if you don't have reserve passes, you're not getting in. So we went to try to reserve passes, and they were already all sold out for the day.
Uh,
So we're like, oh, fuck. What do we want to do? I don't know. So then we stood around for a while and then talked about going to one of the other museums. And I don't think we. Did we end up going to one? I'll be honest, I don't remember.
I
Oh, we
remember
did.
going
We went to the Native American History Museum.
Oh,
That one was pretty quick. And then we hopped on the bus and rode back to the hotel. Grabbed lunch, and yeah, that was that. So, but I will say,
remember going
yes,
to,
they're all very cool.
I remember going to the Air and Space Museum as a kid because they have like the Enola Gay there. I remember that.
We went in middle school when I was in like 8th grade. That was the big 8th grade trip, was DC. So when we went in 8th grade, we did the air and space. Because that's, I mean, you could do that almost like a full day in and of itself.
Well, I don't remember. I don't know if we did the American History Museum, but I don't remember the pop culture part. I don't know if that's new or if
No, it's been
around,
there
and I
for a
just-
while because my dad wanted to go.
Okay.
My dad went to go see it when my older brother was in 8th grade.
Oh, okay, all right. So,
But
I
we
need to
didn't
go
go back.
Same like you. Like I went when I was younger. We went for a wedding, and we did some of that stuff. But I went with Hannah in just before the pandemic, so 2018 or 19, I think. We went and we saw Nate, and but we didn't go to any museums. We just kind of like hung out around town because Hannah was at a conference.
Yeah,
So I do need to go back to DC and like do all the museums. It would be,
it's very cool.
I say fun, but like fun in like a dad, like I like history kind of way.
I've embraced it. Yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun to see it. Like I said, if it's the stuff you're interested in, yeah, it's really cool. Some of the stuff was, you know,
Yeah.
some parts of the Natural History Museum where I was just like, cool foliage, but also like I
Rocks,
don't, yeah,
cool.
all right, neat. Ooh, geodes, neat. But like the Declaration and the Constitution and that, I was like, oh, this is cool. I will wait and walk through and look at all this stuff for that. Even all like the all the newspapery type stuff that they had and all that type of stuff in the National Archive is really cool. Obviously the pop culture aspect of the American History Museum is really cool. But I would have done the war history part of it. And there was kind of a cool thing that they're getting rid of soon is they have an old Revolutionary War like battleship that they
Oh.
pulled from the bay and then restored and brought into the Smithsonian. So that was kind of cool.
Interesting. Is there anything else, Ben, that you want to talk about on this episode? We can get into our ratings and stuff.
No, I don't. I mean, I said it was good to see, kind of get that what happened. I'm glad it wasn't like the entire episode being that was good. Um, yeah, for an episode that starts with kind of the end of the war. Well done to make it as eventful as it felt for a finale.
Yeah. I feel like they could have done this and it'd just be like a little sweet closer, but it was very interesting how they kind of were like, the war's over, but there's still casualties. There's still stuff going on as far as like even just these soldiers manning the borders and like that sort of stuff. It was still, yeah, I feel like they did a good job of keeping it something that you would want to tune into, I feel like, if you were going week by week and watching this.
Yeah.
It's about that time. We're both the Goob Squad this week because neither of us had seen this series before. So you're going to get 2 fresh ratings. Before, I would like to ask, what was your favorite episode, Ben? And maybe your least favorite episode. And whether that's like a couple competing, I'd like to hear what you thought was the high points and low points.
All right. Let me pull up my episode list here just so I can. Yeah. I'm trying to think what I would say. I definitely think Breaking Point for sure. Just with so much happening and everything going on was just such a big kind of expansive episode. Um one of my favorite episodes looking back through everything just because it was so different, I think was Bastogne. Just everything
The
through
one
the
with
eyes of
Ro.
Ro. Like just everything kind of going through the eyes of the medic as opposed to all kind of more of the like frontline type soldiers aspect was a bit different. Um yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, in terms of like least favorite episodes, uh I'll be honest, I know it has to set everything up, but Hirohi kind of compared to the rest of the series is a little bit on the weaker side. Don't get me wrong, when it ended I know I wanted more, and my god did it deliver more, but like in terms of a leadoff hitter, only really like it got on base, but
Yeah,
it didn't go for extra bases.
I definitely agree. That's what I was about to say was like, to me, it's probably Kurahi. Like, it's fine for like developing everything. I just wish it's not even the episode. I feel like it's that I wish they would have like set up the characters a little bit more. So when we get to episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, we kind of like have more of a compass of who everyone is. Um,
Yeah,
I
the
mean, maybe
fact
that's
that
just us, and
yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, realistically, by like 2 or 3, the only people that I really knew who they were because I recognized the actors specifically.
yeah, or and it's like okay, after episode 1, we kind of know like Sobel, Winters, Nixon, and then maybe Garnier.
Yeah,
But then like I do enjoy the way this series, and I think you said the Pacific kind of does the same thing, but where we're introduced to this group of characters, and then it comes and it solos out each person where it's like, oh, well, this one's about Winters or Garnier, this one's about Blythe, this one's about Bull Randleman. This, I did kind of enjoy the storytelling there, where it's like, all right, we have this bigger group, and we'll tell this story of the bigger group through the entire episode and series. but then this episode is going to focus on the group's story through the eyes of this character, or like what they're going through. And I think for me, you said it earlier, but Bastogne was probably my favorite episode, and I think I said it in the episode. Like the way that story is told and just shot, I feel like it's just so good to me. Like it it is something I feel like you don't necessarily see often in war and battle like stories, is the medic, the person who's putting their life on the line to help save other people's lives, and just the way that he has to grapple with everything going on around him, and his faith, his like mental struggles, his physical struggles to like hold back and not go into these battles. And yeah, I think the Bastogne was probably my favorite episode. I don't want to disagree with everyone and say Why We Fight wasn't the best episode, but it was.
I didn't think for how highly it's rated. I don't. Looking at the I've tried not to like look specifically at the breakdowns of what were the highest rated episodes, but I don't know that one was the best episode to me of the series. For it being
very
like
close
the 9.5, but I don't know.
Very close is Breaking Point.
Yeah, I would think Breaking Point. You know what? To me, is one of the underrated one is episode 3 with
Keratin,
Blythe.
That's the Blythe one.
Yeah, underrated for that one. You know, being a little bit on the lower side.
Pretty good. I mean, I feel like there is definitely like a tier, like an echelon to me, and it's like Bastogne and Breaking Point are way up there. Then maybe I'd go Keratin, maybe Why We Fight. Well, Why We Fight is good. It's more emotional, I feel like, to me. And same with Points, like this last episode. It's kind of like, it's more of an emotional, like, exposition one. There's not much action per se. Like, it's more kind of like, here's what's happening. I feel like then maybe I'd go like, oh, well, D-Day episode's kind of up there. That's probably the second tier below Bastogne and Breaking Point. Crossroads I would kind of put a little lower. Replacements I would put a little lower.
Yeah, I like I like the fact
Patrol.
that we finally get some info on Bull because he's such a badass, but yeah, the overall aspect of it just Crossroads Crossroads was the one that jumped all over the place, right?
Yeah, that was the one where it was like Winters kind of like
writing the report, and it's all didn't love that one either.
I would definitely say Kurahi is at the bottom, and then maybe I'd go up to like and maybe I'd go to Crossroads or Last Patrol maybe.
I think I would go Last Patrol. I'll be honest, I'm looking at the IMDb ratings, and I think for the most part, they've got it pretty accurate in terms of how I would break these out. Outside of, I think, Why We Fight, I would put below Breaking Point. But for the most part, pretty accurate. Now, let me ask you a question. What do you think, like, when someone asks you, say, like, 2 years from now, someone goes, oh, have you seen Band of Brothers? What are the moments that you're going to think of in this show?
Ooh, okay.
Like, when someone goes, oh my god, do you remember that scene in Band of Brothers? And then you talk about it, and then it gets you thinking, what are the other scenes that are... Because I already know which one... At least one of the ones that's going to jump out immediately to me.
Yeah, oof. All right. Give me 2 seconds.
All right, I will tell you mine, and it is fully 100% Breaking Point when Spears just runs through fucking smoke up to the line,
God,
becomes a total badass,
and then Captain America,
and then and then 5 minutes later in the episode just sprints through the German army with everyone confused what he's doing, gets to the other side, and then turns around and just fucking runs back with no care for human life. Which also, looking back now, we finished that episode, and we kind of think of Spears much differently than we did before, and how he's kind of, and even by the end of this one, where he's kind of decided to stay, and I think he's kind of was pushing Winters for like the, hey, if you're gonna be leaving, these guys need a good leader, yada yada yada, and I think he was like, it should probably be me. Just saying, which I don't disagree with. But we talked about his leadership. Did we mention in that episode how he kind of dug Blythe out of that hole? We talked about how he stepped up as a leader, but he's the one who doesn't he help Blythe out too, or was he the one who's just kind of like, you're gonna die anyways, so you might as well?
Yeah, he's the one who's like,
all right,
it's a part.
Never mind. Never cut that. Cut what I just said. I think I just mixed him up with someone else.
I do agree. Spears running to the Captain America smoke was pretty outlandish. I mean, for me, I feel like same episode. Bill Garnier helping Toy. Like, I just remember, like, personally, I was like, no.
That was the other one I was going to mention from that. That was the other thing that was immediately came to mind when someone's like, think of that show. It's like, yeah, I think of...
Yeah, that, and then, like, Buck Compton's, like, reaction after just kind of being, like, broken. You're just like, damn, dude. Roe, when he goes back to, I think it's Bastogne, right?
Oh, when he goes back to, like, the church?
Yeah, and it's like destroyed, and he finds the scarf like that. Like, that killed me. I feel like when they keep going back into the episode is when like Winters runs over the hill, and like that young soldier like looks up at him, and he's like, oh, and then he realizes, and Winters blasts him. Bull behind enemy lines in the barn. The D-Day, like when they're dropping in Normandy, and like the planes are getting like blasted, like that was big.
I think, and probably one of the reasons why the episode is as highly rated as it is, but I definitely think the scenes of them liberating the camp will definitely, that just was such a emotional, heart-wrenching thing to witness that I definitely
like we
think
talked
that
about
is
that,
a big...
That embrace between the prisoner and the soldier where they like start kissing them, like, yeah, that is like heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Band of Brothers, all 10 episodes. Here we are. Yeah, like I said in episode 1, this is one that like my dad always watched, and I remember like seeing him watch it, but I had never sat down to watch it. And man, it's been a journey. I'm surprised it took me this long to watch it, but at the same time, I'm like, well, Dylan, you don't really like war stuff. Like, I don't gravitate towards like World War II like movies and shows. But damn, this was so good. The storytelling, I think, is one of the high points, and the fact that it's based mostly on real events and real people. I think they did an excellent job of like having these interviews with the real life characters and blending that into the show, helping tell the story and give us perspective on like what it was like in World War II. I think the cinematography that we've talked about the whole time, like the amazing opening shots, the fact that the VFX hold up rather well, the casting and acting is amazing, and that like we're kind of talking about like, oh, like this is the low point, or like this was like my least favorite episode, but the fact that it's like it's still a really good episode. Like at no point was I like, bored in this show. Um, yeah, I think overall, I am gonna give this series a 9 out of 10. I think personally, as far as like production and just a congruent project and idea, I think this is probably one of the best things I've ever seen as far as like a series or television show. Um, it is so well put together, and yeah, I think a 9 out of 10 is a fantastic score for this series. I'd be interested to see the Pacific and see if it's kind of just cut and paste to this, but on the Pacific front, or um, if it's a little different. But yeah,
Yeah, was something that was really kind of it's hard to rank as a whole, because you think of some of like the greatest TV series of all time. And I know this gets kind of put in that tier list, but I think just I think this to me showed that there needs to be a designation between movie, TV series, and miniseries. Because one, I think this was phenomenal. I think a 9 out of 10 is on the button. Realistically, I would go probably in like the 9 point something range. I would go over 9. I don't know that it's a perfect 10, but I would go over 9. But when I think of like like TV series, I think of like multi-season, the show held up over multiple seasons, the fact that, and I don't want to say it's easier because I don't think that's the case at all, but you know, 10 great episodes is fantastic. It's also impressive that it was 10 great episodes in 10 tries. There wasn't like, we had 3 seasons. We had 10 amazing episodes, but we had like 36 that we made, and 20 of them were duds. So I give that a ton of credit. I think the acting was phenomenal. All of the actors were. I don't think there's anyone that I never like believed that they could not have actually been in this situation or in the war. I'm a huge history. I love war history and things like that. I don't know how I had never sat down and watched this before, but I was so glad that this was something we kind of discussed and did. Um, it was phenomenal. I don't think it's something that I'll watch regularly, but I think it'll probably be a while before I watch it again. Maybe a couple years, maybe a little longer. I don't know. Maybe I'll wait till my son's like 10, 11, be like, hey, you want to learn about World War II? Let's go. Fire it up. Fire up the old streaming device.
It does have that kind of like, I want to share this with the next generation feel to it. Like,
yeah, it does. I finished it and I'm like, man, Grayson will need to see this like when he's older. He's gonna have to watch it.
My dad has listened to the podcast and talked to me and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know how I never like watched this. Like,
yeah,
you're the big guy who's into it, and you got the DVDs and stuff like. And,
yeah,
but also, yeah, I agree. It's kind of 2001: A Space Odyssey-esque, where it's like, wow, that was really good. Am I gonna watch it
regularly?
Like every year?
No.
It's.
Don't get me wrong. Are there other shows that I watch yearly that are not this quality? You're damn right. You're damn right. They don't make me feel. Yeah. They don't make me feel things. Fair.
Oh, dude, first season of X-Files, I turn that on whenever I'm just like, what do I really want to watch? throw on the X-Files pilot, and I'm like,
Look, this is going to sound inflammatory. Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Great comedy. Is it as good as this show? No. Can I just watch it and kind of zone out and just kind of laugh at the same dumb things that I laugh at every time? Yes. Yes. And we need shows like that. We do. We need shows that we can go back to every once in a while and just comfort, backgroundy type shows.
Yeah.
But I do think in terms of this is something that's made me like think of like other, more like a mini series that you could realistically consider. But
they do in the Golden Globes. They do like mini series or Emmys, maybe. I think.
Yeah,
I think both
so.
of those do, where it's like mini series, TV, and then or TV movie and mini series are done together. I think.
Yeah. So.
But then like Oscars is purely just movies. But like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, and it's starting to blend more. Like, there's some damn good TV series that is like cinematic,
Oh yeah. Oh,
I feel like when we were,
especially with, I think we were really in that age where we were around and have a strong memory of Netflix starting that trend of streamers being able to produce
like House of Cards.
mean, yeah, and those felt like big budget compared to what you saw on your weekly ABC or NBC.
I mean, when we were kids, it
procedural.
Was like
NCIS.
When we were kids, it was like CSI, NCIS. Like, I mean, even the older generations, they get like Dallas and MASH, and it's like. Those are good shows. They ran a long time. Were they like a movie? Not really.
No.
Like
they couldn't be.
It kind of felt different.
They couldn't. Yeah. Like, you could not do it budget wise to do that. Yeah. Whereas, I mean, I think even you watched CSI, and then turned on or watched like an actual like movie, and you're like, okay, yeah, you can tell the difference between the two.
Yeah.
This, I feel like you could watch if I were to show someone 20 minutes of an episode of this and say, okay, was this a movie or a TV show? I feel like if I showed them the breaking point, like, hey, what do you think? Breaking point. Here's 20 minutes. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to show you this scene. Is this from a movie or a TV show? I'd go, that's a movie. It's a World War II movie. If someone didn't know, they'd probably think it was Saving Private Ryan. Oh, that's probably just Saving Private Ryan. That movie's like 4 hours long. It's got to be from that. So, yeah, I definitely think that there's a difference between the two. And I think you can tell, too, because a lot of the times the budgets on miniseries are also just extreme.
A lot bigger. Yeah.
But again, just insane to me, the cast that... This is like watching like a...
Just watching Team USA basketball right now. It's like watching the Avengers,
No, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. Watching Team USA basketball is like Ocean's 11, where they've got like every big name actor they can get. This is like watching what the hell am I thinking of? It's like watching an AAU. This is like watching an AAU team. And then like 10 years from now, you're going to be like, holy shit, that AAU team had like Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes. It's like, oh, this AAU team was littered with just now all pro players. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize at the time I watched it how big these guys would... I mean... Jesus Christ, you look at the freaking cast list on this thing and you're like, wait, what? Who? I mean, again,
even just
Scott Grimes.
Even some of just the
Scott
cameos.
Grimes, not a huge actor by any means, but he's been on that show The Orville for a long time. He's done a lot of voice work. He's been in a lot of things. Damian Lewis, hit or miss career up until he did Succession, and now he's just blown up. Ron Livingston, more of a character actor. Donnie Wahlberg, big name. Michael Cudlitz has had a strong career. The guy who played Martin isn't as much of a big time actor, but he's directed quite a few frickin' movies. Ross McCall, who is Leibgott, he's done a lot of different TV work. He's been, I mean, all of these guys, not necessarily huge names, but like steady working actors. And then you've got the guys who are barely in it, like Tom Hardy, who's one of the biggest movie stars in the world.
Simon Pegg was in there for
Simon Pegg was in there. Michael Fassbender has had a huge career.
I just want to say that
Neil
Damian Lewis is in Billions.
Oh, it's Billions, not Succession. I'm sorry, I've confused those two for some reason. My bad.
I mean, aren't they? They're very similar shows.
I thought
like,
yes, that's why I confused them. Who's even Dominic Cooper was in an episode. He's been in a lot of shit. He was Howard Stark in the Captain America First Avenger movie. Jimmy Fallon.
I forgot about him.
Colin Hanks. James McAvoy.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
The guy who's in the second episode with Winters. That's Andrew Scott. He's gone on to play. He was Moriarty opposite Benedict Cumberbatch in Sherlock. I believe he was in one of the James Bond movies with Daniel Craig.
Spectre.
Yeah, he was in Spectre. He's been in that Fleabag. That was the big thing he's been doing. Like, he's just been in a ton of shit. Like, so many of these guys, outside of really, like, a couple of the main characters, which is weird that they haven't gone on to do a lot more. But, like, most of just, like, the smaller focus characters are just like, holy shit. This guy's just, it's a fucking murder's row of a cast, and it was all before they blew up. And now you're just like, holy hell. This is absolutely insane.
Anything else, Benjamin?
No, I don't think so. I'm excited to go back into some movies and keep checking some stuff off. I know there's been a couple of things that I think in the past like 10 weeks, things that have kind of come up that I've been like, oh, that would be an interesting one to do on the podcast. And I've kind of tucked them in my back pocket so we can kind of discuss and see. But yeah, it's this was fun though. I there's a couple different things that I listen to where they kind of do some of this type of stuff where, they do kind of like more of a break type situation. And for the summer where it's a bit harder to find maybe the 2.5 hours, but it's a little easier to find like an hour during the week to film or to watch and then coming soon maybe an hour or two to film. This was nice. This was a nice kind of like just break to do. So I'd like to keep that kind of tradition going. Especially I know summers get a little bit busier, and as kids get older, things will start to pile up. So being able to kind of have that as like a fallback, that'll be nice.
And there's we might do. It's kind of thinking, and this is something that we could also talk about after, but maybe we do television as like a $2 a month subscription thing, or like, we could do movies and TV shows if time would allow us. But
I just know, like I said, I know the big thing with TV, which again, I wouldn't mind doing, if there's an interest, definitely. I do think one of the big things would be, oh my god, I just had a blank. Some more type miniseries stuff, if we can find some more like themed stuff that we wanted to do. If around Halloween maybe we can't find a
spooky show.
Yeah, something that maybe is a little bit more
Stranger
of like
Things. We could rewatch Stranger.
Just something that might be a little bit more of like a mini series, or
That we're not watching 40 episodes.
yeah. Well, that's the thing with TV. This was nice, but you're gonna run out of one season unless it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you got to do the best season of this show, and it's like, really? Look, I've watched all 7 seasons of Mad Men. Am I going to tell you now that you're going to jump in at season 4 and understand anything that's going on? No. No. You can't just jump into shows like that. The shows that are credited as being like the best shows of all time are that for a reason. You can't just you can't just jump into a middle season and be like, this was the best one. Let's see what happens. No. It doesn't work.
But yeah, be on the lookout. We got movies. Oh, we're trying to get a couple more guests on the podcast. So be on the lookout for that. Check out Band of Brothers on HBO Max or Max, and give this podcast a listen through. We did the whole series, all 10 episodes. So maybe you're just catching us on episode 10. Maybe you need to go back and listen to the other 9. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, give us a rating wherever you're listening. It really helps out. Subscribe, share us with your friends and family. We'll check you out next time. Check out our website, www.cocktailsandclassicspod.com. Check out our Instagram, @cocktailsandclassicspod. And as always, watch responsibly.